Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Garrett Smith, the nutrition detective around these here YouTube parts, and we are here for another Love Your Liver live stream. Today, I just decided to do all subscriber Q&A. So if you are a subscriber to this channel, which means you can post in the chat, then go ahead and start posting your questions. I know with the new way we're doing the streaming, it doesn't let people in until we start, so it's not like it used to be. But anyway, one of the things I wanted to go over first is it's not on our website yet. We are still working on the pictures for it. But this last week, we launched my new organic Sunfiber product. Really cool. For those of you who don't know, Sunfiber is a very specific type of soluble fiber that research has shown really helps with adjusting the gut biome. You want to think of it as mainly a prebiotic that is adjusting, the gut bacteria in your gut biome. The cool thing about it is, well, first of all, we have one of the very few organic ones on the market, which is, it's pretty rare. And the other thing is that it mixes absolutely clear and it's not thick in water. It doesn't taste like anything. So if you want to help your kids with it, or if you're some other picky adults who don't like psyllium and that stuff, psyllium does do different things because it's thicker, but we use them for different things, but they all do feed the gut biome. And a very important thing is figuring out which fibers, soluble fibers, insoluble fibers. I go over that stuff in my probiotics articles inside the Love Your Liver program. I go into that in big detail, how to figure out what kind of gut dysbiosis you have and the likely things that you can try to fix it. A lot of it is just testing things out. So anyway, Sunfiber, it's got a lot of research on it, helping with especially constipation and moving things. It's got studies helping with diarrhea. It does help reduce secondary bile acids, which are the most toxic ones. So it's basically helping with most of the things that we work on. Now, another thing I want to remind you about with the Sunfiber, for those of you who haven't tried it yet, or for those of you who are in the middle of trying it, is not every fiber is for everybody. So if you try it and if you feel you're going to get your gut biome adjusted, if you really don't feel good on it at the start, then don't do it. It's adjusting your gut biome in a way that it's not helping. But if you have some symptoms at the start that you can deal with, like let's say increased gas, you have a little bit of increased gas, but you also, let's say you notice you feel better, then you can keep taking it. And if you see that the negative symptoms are going down and the positive symptoms are either staying the same or going up, then it's likely the bad symptoms are going to go away as your gut biome adjusts, and then the good symptoms are going to go up. So that's one of the few times that I allow people to stay on something that doesn't initially feel good, but you have to notice something beneficial to stay on it. Again, like with the lactoferrin, if you want to order the Sunfiber right now, like I said, we're still working on getting the store item put on there at this moment. It should be on there this week, but email Julie at admin@nutritiondetective.com and she can help you get that. Our packages are about twice as big as everybody else out there, so you don't have to order like every month or even sooner. For those who are taking more, there is a link on the instructions, just like with the lactoferrin. I want people to take these things correctly, and the amount of space you have for instructions on supplements is like 3 or 4 lines basically. So I did a whole page so that people could read about how I suggest to start on it slowly. Starting slowly is really, really important, so you don't, it's dose dependent responses. If you take more and it's not for you, then you're not going to feel good. So it's easier to just start slow, adjust the gut biome slowly, and then move up. Okay. So that's that. So for those of you who were joining late, I was just talking about how we just added the organic Sunfiber product. We have another product that I know many, many people are very excited about. We are almost done with our testing of it, and it should be out soon. So, So I'm going to the chat now. So we're going to do we got some questions. So for those of you who want to ask questions today, this is all Q&A today. Super chats are enabled. So if you want to do a super chat, then we can do that. Hold on one sec. I'm testing something here. Let me see. Okay. Joe, I just tried that link. It didn't work. Joe sent me a link for a super chat pop out. It said something went wrong on YouTube. So anyway, we're just still testing stuff out. Yeah, that link is not doing anything for me. So, okay. Nate's I said hi. Hello. Yo, Nate. Hi there. Ben asks, hello, a close family member of mine has very late stage colon cancer and cannot eat. Would it make sense to supplement high dose vitamin A since it's effectively chemo? I mean, one of the things you should look into. Let me go find this. Let me go find. I think it's this one. Yeah, it's let me get this link. I think this is the article. It's called How Doctors Die. It was an article in the New York Times. Doctors don't choose chemotherapy, radiation. Most doctors, if they get cancer, with as much as they know about it, they don't choose to get. I don't know what. Let me see. I found another one here. They don't choose chemo and radiation. They don't choose all these horrible things. They go as a. Oh yeah. Let me share my screen. Okay. This is from Harvard. How Doctors Die. Physicians are less likely than the general population to undergo intense end-of-life treatments. You all should share this with your family members and show them that the doctors themselves are not doing these crazy, expensive, silly treatments that just ruin people's quality of life. Wouldn't you rather? My buddy, his dad got colon cancer. And funny thing, his dad also, he loved high dose vitamin A and high dose vitamin D. And my buddy's like, I can't even get through to him, man. He's telling me he keeps getting sick, and then he keeps taking high dose vitamin A and high dose vitamin D, and then he keeps getting sick, and then all of a sudden, then he's got colon cancer. Oh, but he tells his son, "Oh, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing." And now he's going through chemo and radiation. And he said his quality of life is just complete garbage. He just feels awful all the time. Feeling awful. I mean, sure, could somebody take high dose vitamin A? Can they do that? Chemotherapy, by definition, is poison. So if somebody chooses to go the more poison route, they're going to get what they're putting in, right? I mean, I can't. Can you do that? Sure. There's all sorts of things you can do. By the time we're getting these cancers, if cancer is a deep toxicity condition, it is a deep, deep toxicity condition. You can do things like, high dose vitamin C IVs, which are shut. I honestly, I would choose IV vitamin C to shut things down rather than high dose vitamin A. Absolutely. Vitamin C kind of shuts things down, but it doesn't cause a lot of the side effects. But remember, it doesn't make the cancer go away either. Linus Pauling, doing his 18 grams of vitamin C a day 30 or 40 years ago, did it because of prostate cancer. He still died of prostate cancer. He didn't escape it. He didn't fix the problem. High dose vitamin C is not a cure for anything. It just kicks the can down the road, but it seems that it's the least damaging of the I mean, there's a guy here in Tucson who his entire practice is just high dose vitamin C IVs for cancer. That's all he does. Can it keep your quality of life while it's still shutting stuff down? Sure. It doesn't work as long as things used to in Linus Pauling's day because people are so much more toxic. It's a very important thing to know. The things that used to work don't work as long anymore because people are more toxic and they're more broken. So there's more stress. So I in the medical world as a naturopathic physician, I am not even allowed to say it is law that I am not allowed to say I treat cancer. So I tend to stay very on the outskirts of even discussing it. There's basically you try to go we're going to try to fix it way. When you have somebody with cancer, they're very, very toxic. Or you go, let's poison this into submission. I don't understand. I still haven't figured out how it exactly works. I mean, the toxic bile theory says we shut off the bile leaking into the system. And then the cancers do have, if you go and you look up cancer, it has tons of ALDH in it. Cancers have tons of ALDH in them. They make ALDH like crazy to detox the aldehydes. So what does medicine see? They say, oh, there's a lot of aldehydes in there. There's a lot of ALDH in there. We don't like cancer cells, so therefore let's shut down the ALDH. But maybe let's just say we shut down the bile that's leaking into the system by making the liver not make it so much. The cancer tissues have tons of ALDH, and they're desperately trying to process the toxins that are in it. And now that there's no more bile going into the blood, the tumors can then get rid of their toxicity into the blood. And then this can go into the guts. You can actually put bile from your blood into the guts. I don't know if you know this. This is in the research. I've been over this. So diarrhea problems can come often from bile, either the liver bile going into the intestines, or it can come from the bile that's in the blood actually being the same blood vessels that feed your intestines with blood and nutrients can put bile into your gut through the blood vessels. So, but yeah, I'm not going to advise anyone who's not a client of mine on anything related to cancer, what they decide to do with it. Like I said, you can go the try to detox way, or you can go the poison them more way. Those are the two big ways. But know that doctors don't choose the poisoning way when they have the problem. So that should tell you their confidence in it. That should tell you how they feel about this stuff. I'd rather just spend good time with cancer doesn't often make people that sick. The doctors freak out about it and they want to give you hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of treatments that don't make you better, that ruin your quality of life, when the doctors themselves go home, keep the quality of life, and spend the time with their family. So that should tell you what they think of it. Hi, Emily. How are you doing? Maggie asks, what do I think about Brian Peskin's Parent Essential Oils? Eat food, you get them. I think I just learned about, actually, let me go see if I can find a picture. The Parent Essential Oils are plant-based oils. They're the ALA and LA. We do need some of them. I need to find the research that I used to have. It was basically, it showed that here's the thing about essential fatty acids, supposedly. It was some research on mice, and they gave them an absolutely fat-free diet. So like they would not even give them the plant foods that had fat in them. They fed them an absolutely fat-free diet. And eventually these mice got brittle hair, and they just looked like hell. And then all the researchers did was they gave them some plant foods back. They put some plant foods back in their diet with some the truly essential fatty acids in it. But the amount that would be in plant foods, like vegetables, vegetable matter, and all of the essential fatty acid problems that these mice had went away. It took plant foods. We're not talking almonds here. We're talking just plant matter foods. So do I think that we need a ton of this stuff? No. I think that, I actually believe that toxicity can get in the way of us converting fatty acids down the road. Do I think that people could eat a diet that was too low in fat? Sure. Yeah. But people have to work their ass off to get there. Like really, really work their ass off to get there. So I'm not, we don't have a lot of issue with this. I actually think that, like I said, toxicity gets in the way of what everybody's worried about, making EPA and DHA. Apparently, I don't try to eat EPA and DHA. I don't do fish oil. I don't worry about my fats. And apparently my brain seems to be working pretty well, I like to think. So I don't worry about it. If you eat properly fed animal products, you get all the fatty acids that we're going to need. That's my take on it. Here was an interesting thing. Let me go see if I can find a picture of it. Don't switch the screen yet. There was a guy. So I've been into. I joined an arm wrestling club here in town lately, and so you tend to start watching videos on about it and stuff like that. Hold on, let me see. I want to find a picture of. So the guy's name is Devin Larratt, and he is like one of the great arm wrestlers of all time. He's a Canadian guy, but he's covered in lipomas. Lipomas being fatty tumors. I want to find a good picture of him with them. And the reason I'm going to bring this up for a very important reason. Let me see if I saw an article on. Well, they say, so okay, switch over to it, Joe. This is just, there's a video here. This is Reddit's, their lipoma section. And Devin Larratt is known for having like tons of lipomas all over his body, like all over. You see him with his shirt off and he's just like bubbles under the skin. You want to know what Devin Larratt suggested everybody do to reduce their inflammation? Because arm wrestlers are known for being beat up. They're torn up. They're injured all the time. And I'm not gonna have that happening to me. I'm very much training and just I'm not there for my ego. I'm there to have fun, just hanging out with the guys and testing strength and stuff like that. He's covered in lipomas. He says he drinks like a bottle of fish oil every day. And they're trying to say that he has a genetic condition of these lipomas. I'm going to say I think it's the fish oil, which is toxic, causing fatty deposits all over his body. I don't think it's a genetic condition. I think he's causing it. If you have things growing on your body of any type, it's a toxin storage mechanism. Your body is trying to deposit those toxins somewhere. So the key would be to find out what toxin is it, if you can. You may not be able to, so that's why we cover so many toxins in the Love Your Liver program. We have people avoid so many of the things, especially that people thought were good for them. And then things get better. Now, I do think that ladies, a lot of the issues that happen for ladies down in the sexual organs, the PCOS, endometriosis, I absolutely think these are related to copper storage. So that's just another one. Anyway, let's go to the next question. Sam says, I can't figure out how to get my carbs in. For some reason, parsnips and other root vegetables don't sit well with me. I also try to be careful with fructose, so I don't eat too much of that either. Parsnips never sat well with me. Parsnips never felt good to me. I love the idea of them. I liked the kind of nuttiness to the flavor of them. They never sat well. Root vegetables and me just don't get along that well. So your carbs, I mean, you're just going to have to find, Sam, you're going to have to find, if you're looking for carbs, you're going to have to try different grains. You have to try different beans. You're going to have to try different root vegetables. You're just going to have to experiment. Now, one of the things, I don't love starches myself. My system doesn't love them. So I don't eat them very much. Do I have them on the program? Yeah. Do I do a fiber? I do my charcoal and fiber drink so I can get that in because I don't eat a lot of those things. And I know that if you don't get your soluble fiber, you're going to kill all the bifido in your gut. And that's like one of the most important ones for a lot of people. So the thing here is, if you are underweight, for those of you who are underweight, and you have extreme difficulty gaining weight in a good way without shoving, like, I mean, there's been people in the Love Your Liver program who are like, they're shoving down like 4,000, 5,000, 7,000 calories a day trying to gain weight. I'm going to tell you that if you are underweight by nature and you struggle to gain good weight at all, you're an undertype. And if you are, so you're fighting what your body wants to do. Your body doesn't want to put on that weight. It doesn't want to. Undertype livers, if you're underweight, in my framework, that means your liver is worse off than an overweight person. Chronically underweight people are worse off than chronically overweight people. So your liver's not working very well. And if you're shoving down 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 calories to try to force weight on you, you're adding a ton of work to your liver that's already not working well. And I don't know if this is you, Sam. I'm just doing a thing here because people will just, I mean, there's plenty of guys who, the bodybuilder types who are like, they're shoving tons of food down to try to get swole, right? And it's not good for them either. But when we have underweight people are further down. What's the saying I've done before? They're further down in the liver doo-doo. They're deeper in it. And the more things you have to process, the more things your liver has to process. And if your liver's already behind, and like you're struggling to gain 2 pounds by shoving down 6,000 calories, just stop. Eat a normal amount of food. What we see with people who do this with us long enough, and they do it correctly, they start to gain weight. Over time, they don't have to do all the work. If for those of you who are watching this, if you're in the chat, or if you're later on when in the comments, if you've been doing this work with us, and you finally gotten to the point where you're gaining weight without having to bust your ass and fill your cake hole with food all day long, give us your testimony. Okay, because we see this. That's how it's supposed to work. What would happen to overtypes later is it's harder for them to, overtypes tend to be overweight. And so a lot of people these days, right, they gain weight super easy. As people get healthier as overtypes, they don't gain weight as fast or as easy. And some of them, I'm going to give you overtypes. If you're overweight, there's 2 reasons, 1 or 2 reasons that you're likely, and even if you're doing the Love Your Liver program, one of these 2 will hold. If you are having trouble losing weight, you're either 1, still very toxic, and you need to get rid of those toxins to lose weight. Your body's protecting you with the weight. Just like with the undertypes, it's like the body won't gain weight. Don't fight it. If you're an overtype and you're like, I do these 500 calorie diets, like some people have done that. Oh my gosh, like don't do that. But so the overtypes will go the other extreme and they'll eat these like horribly low calorie diets. And the more you do those over time, they stop working. And you go, how does that work? And I know this is true. I've seen it in people. Their metabolism can just shut down to like nothing when they try to starve themselves. So it's the opposite end. Do you see how it's the opposite end? They're toxic. Their body will not let them get rid of the fat. It's protecting them from all the toxicity that would dump out of the fat should they start losing fat too rapidly. But then there's also a second type, which is people who just eat too damn much food. Could you still be doing that even on a good food list? Absolutely. You may just need fewer calories. That it is, I mean, the law of thermodynamics, the energy in and energy out, it still does matter. It still does. I did the vitamin A stuff for like 3.5 years, and I never really lost any weight. I did fix my health problems, but I didn't lose weight just from the diet. And then finally I went, I just eat too much. I was always a kid who was getting like 3 plates. I just ate too much. And I was doing the bodybuilding thing where you never want to go catabolic. So you're always keeping food going in. It's a great way to make people fat. Like the whole bodybuilding mentality of never going catabolic, like just make sure you're eating all the time. It just, to young men, it will just make them fat older men. So that's that. But the carbs, you just got to find carbs that work for you. Now, one thing that might work, Sam, please listen to me very carefully, folks. I'm going to start this out with, do I endorse the blood type diet as a whole? No. What did I just say? Do I endorse the blood type diet as a whole? Absolutely not. So if you go and you read the book and you go, I'm going to do the blood type diet because Dr. Smith said, no, I'm setting you up to not make the mistake. But the highest lectin foods that we work with fall into the grains or the beans category. So what I'm telling you is a good place for you possibly to start if you're trying to figure out which of beans or grains might work the best for you. You could start with the food lists on those 2 categories from the blood type diet. And maybe if you want to include root vegetables in there, maybe. But if somebody goes out and they're like, Doc, I tried the blood type diet and it didn't work, I'm just going to do that. Like, because I just laid it out. I just laid it out. Just did it. Murphy's Law says somebody out there is going to completely misinterpret what I say and then come back and say what you said didn't work. And it's absolutely not. That's not what I just said. Okay. But that's what I would do with that. Sam, rice has the arsenic problem. I have an entire video on the Love Your Liver program about the research proven ways of reducing arsenic in rice. It's funny, wasn't there just a shortage of a certain type of Indian, like as in from India rice? Or they were stopping exports or something, I think. I don't know. Organic rice from India seems to be the least arsenic. The Lundberg stuff from the US, even though it's organic, is super. We've had people, I've seen it on testing, so I'm not going to say that the rice is high in arsenic. I'm going to say I've seen people's hair tests who eat that rice, and their arsenic on their hair test goes up. I'm going to cover my butt on that one. And one guy even showed, he did testing before a month of white rice, or no, he did a month of brown rice, and he tested his blood arsenic after that. And then he took a month off of rice, and then he did a month of white rice. And people think that because the brown rice had the bran taken off of it, the brown part, that the brown rice has more arsenic in it. And maybe it does, but this guy's test after the white rice was higher than after the brown rice. Basically, if you are eating rice, folks, and I know rice is a big thing in the vitamin A world, and it's a very big thing for certain people who are really sensitive to foods, because White rice is like, it's like the food equivalent. It's like the starch equivalent of white sugar. There's just not much in there. Although, do you know how they rate when they rate the aromas of rice? Do you know one of the things that you're smelling in rice? It's aldehydes. You can look it up. There's significant enough aldehydes in rice that it's part of the rating system of the aroma of the rice. So anyway, I've never been a big fan of rice. There is a guaranteed arsenic problem in rice you get from anywhere. American rice seems to be the worst. So, let me give you the one thing that I did not do in the video on the Love Your Liver program. I'll give you guys here this special thing. If you're gonna, so here's how the arsenic in rice thing works. When you put the rice in an excess amount of water, the arsenic moves from the rice into the water. So then the key thing that you need to do is pour off the water, get rid of that water and rinse the rice off and get rid of that water. Okay. This is how the arsenic gets out of rice, just into the water. So you could soak the rice overnight, like in your fridge, just put it in some water in your fridge and let it sit overnight, or you can cook it in an excess amount of water. Do I think that just rinsing your rice in under the sink like 5 times is going to get that much arsenic out of it? No, it'll get some, but it's not actually soaking. It's not, you want it to soak so it can move. Okay. You're not washing the rice of it. So what I have seen on hair tests that works the best is in that if you soak the rice overnight and you put charcoal in the water, you put some charcoal in the water, like a teaspoon, maybe half teaspoon in the soaking water, soak it overnight. And then you wash off, you get the water off and you wash off the charcoal. You rinse it off. It does rinse off. And then you cook that and then you're fine. Then you're good to go. That works the best. There was, let me see if I can find it. So, Joe, let's go to there. A comprehensive review on removal of arsenic using activated carbon prepared from easily available waste materials. Charcoal will soak, activated carbon is charcoal. It will soak up arsenic. It will. So think of it this way. When you put the rice in the water, the charcoal is going to grab onto the rice so it doesn't go back in, grab onto the arsenic so it doesn't go back into the rice. And it'll probably grab onto even more than what just water would pull out. So this is why this is the best method, in my opinion. So you get lower arsenic rice, which from what we've seen is organic rice from India, and then you still work on getting the arsenic off of it with either your cooking methods, your soaking methods, or activated charcoal, hardwood activated charcoal. People are starting to say, man, that coconut charcoal it smells funny now and it tastes weird and they're not feeling great on it. I've never recommended coconut. I think coconut is another fad that was not good for us. That's why it exploded everywhere, just like the soy thing did. I do not trust coconut nonsense at all. I remember when the Weston Price thing was writing books about how coconut oil is so great for your thyroid. And I was like, okay, cool. No, that doesn't work. Hold on one sec. So I think I've done some interesting things in my health approaches lately, and I've been dumping snot. Like, it's not allergies, it's just coming out of my head. It's been interesting. And I know that, so all of us, I've talked about this before, all of us have our routes of detox. Mine, sinuses. Other people, it might be your gut. Other people, it might be your skin. Other people, it might be your ears. Other people, just know that your body's going to get rid of it one way. Some people might try to get rid of it through their lungs. And if you want to go back and watch the breath work video, about how I talk about aldehydes in lungs. Like some people might dump it through their lungs, so they always seem to have a cough. Everybody has their weak links in the chain. Everybody has their detox route, their body's main detox route. So just get okay with yours. Like mine's my sinuses. Okay. So Ben, my doctor wants to run an MRI with contrast to rule out pulsative tinnitus causing tumor compressing the cranial nerve. I'm worried about the gadolinium. Is it really a big concern? I mean, they're putting a radioactive metal into you. Do you trust them? Do you think that there's only gadolinium in that contrast agent? There's going to be all sorts of things in it. I can't say whether or not it's that big of concern. Here's the thing about anything potentially toxic that you put in your body, folks. If it causes you side effects, the side effect rate is 100%. You could look at, the stats and say, well, there's only a 3% chance that I'll have any problems with this. Okay, but what if you're the 3%? Then it's 100% for you. And the people who did the studies don't really care that you got it. They're just like, oh, you're one of the ones. You're one of the ones. Oh, you got the pokey and you got myocarditis. Oh, you're one of the unlucky ones. Sorry. Oops. I mean, when people put in known talks, I mean, let's go do this. Let's go here and let's go gadolinium liver injury PubMed. Gadolinium toxicity and treatment. The long-term and cumulative effects of retained gadolinium in the brain and elsewhere are not as yet understood, but they're happy to give it to you. Recently, patients who report that they suffer from chronic symptoms secondary to gadolinium exposure and retention created gadolinium toxicity online support groups. Hey, there's a B6 toxicity group there's multiple B6 toxicity groups on Facebook. Did you know B6 is an alcohol and an aldehyde and it stores in your nerves and it can cause neuropathy? Oh, but B vitamins just go right through your system. They have never told you the truth about all this stuff. So are they going to tell you that gadolinium's no big deal? Like, let me give you another example. My ex-wife, for the first pregnancy, we were doing a home birth, but things were not moving. And at 36 hours of labor, we decided to go to the hospital with our nurse midwife and everything ended up fine. But anyway, she ended up my ex was a redhead. Redheads have weird livers. First epidural didn't take. She had to get 2 epidurals. And then she had back pain for a year. So as an example, epidurals and back pain. Some of you ladies who have had epidurals, if you want to make comments, in the chat or the comments later, if you had back pain after that, apparently, so anesthesiologists will tell you that epidurals do not cause chronic back pain. They'll just say, no, it's so rare. They just stuck a needle into your spinal fluid, right through the lining of your spinal cord. And they're like, oh no, it couldn't cause back pain. And you're like, what? So anyway, my ex was having back pain for a long time and she talked to several of the women she knew and they both said, yeah, basically you're going to have back pain for a year. That's how long they had it. That's how long the other women knew they knew had it. And that's how long she had it. So these things that they will, the people giving these things, of course, will poo-poo your concerns. They'll just be like, no, it's fine. It doesn't happen. They'll either deny that it happens or they'll say it hardly ever happens. Their self-reported symptoms have recently been published. Bone and joint complaints and skin changes were 2 of the most common complaints. This condition has been termed gadolinium deposition disease. In this review, we will address gadolinium toxicity disorders from acute adverse reactions to GBCAs, which is, was that the thing they just gadolinium? No, I don't know what that is. Gadolinium deposition disease with special emphasis on the latter, as it is the most recently described and least known. You're taking a risk. If you tend to be a sensitive person, I mean, here's the question to ask yourself. If you're going to get this, if you go and you get this MRI with the contrast, do you want their treatment? Do you want their treatment? If they say you have this, are you going to go right in for surgery? If you're going to do that, if that's the road you're going down, do it. But I'll be honest, like, unless I'm at risk of dying relatively soon, I'm not getting a CT scan. I'm not getting, contrast dyes. I'm not doing, they're not, I'll do an MRI and I'll do the absolute minimum X-ray that I need to do. But I am not putting contrast dye. I'm not doing CT scans, which are like 100 to 200 X-rays worth of radiation. I'm not doing it unless it's like, I think it's a life or death choice. So that's what I can help you with. But is it a big concern? Yeah, it's a big concern if you feel bad from it. Yeah, if you have chronic disease from retained gadolinium in your system, yeah. Hey, Will. Hi, AA. So we have, who is this? Kat asks, hi, Dr. Smith. Has anyone ever recovered from what happened? Hyperacusis, aka louder sounds causing ear pain, or from long-term tinnitus with vitamin A detox? Now, I actually believe there's a couple different types of tinnitus. One is mechanical, which would be if let's say somebody was into loud concerts or loud raves or whatever, and they love to be in front of the speakers, and they physically break the hairs in the ear that help with your hearing, those little teeny tiny ones, where there's mechanical damage and it's broken. I don't know that, and they get tinnitus, I don't know that that's ever going to come back. I don't know that that's ever going to fix itself. The body doesn't seem to fix those. Now, if it's a chemical tinnitus, like a toxicity tinnitus, then yeah, I think those can be fixed. So, I mean, I've seen a guy respond really well to some B12 injections with his tinnitus. When I looked at this guy, when I think back to this guy back when I was doing B12 injections, which I don't do anymore, he was super toxic. I just knew from his work history, dude was super toxic. So do I think it was a B12 deficiency? No, it was probably some other toxicity like hydrogen sulfide that was related to why the B12 helped him. So in terms of hyperacusis, louder sounds causing ear pain, I haven't specifically dealt with that. But again, if it's toxicity, one of the things that vitamin A can do is make certain nerves hyperreactive. And this was in the research with what was it about? I don't remember. But yeah, it can make certain nerves hyperreactive. Absolutely. So in theory, then, if we get away from that, we could. Let me go see. Let me just do a quick search. Nope. Okay. So, how far are we in? Okay, 51 minutes. So, AA says a woman on Pete Forum claimed to have been helped tremendously by ingesting 12 grams of baking soda per day. Inflammation lower, better mood, etc. Okay. So, probably a huge dose. I mean, there was something acidic affecting her. So she did that. Now, is this going to continue on? I'm going to tell you, long-term baking soda use, when you try to use this gigantic hammer of a drug-like dose of alkaline substances, of bicarb, first of all, that does end up being a crazy amount of sodium. And regardless of what people think, like a crazy amount of sodium will cause problems after a while. That much bicarb, it's a drug effect. So can magical things happen with drug-like effects? Yeah, absolutely. The longer they go on with that, at some point that's going to mess them up. And who knows if it's going to reset some of their acid-base balance, homeostatic parameters in their body. So, yeah, I would be real careful of that. But yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit of bicarb is not a problem, but when you are using bicarb to specifically do something, it's not the root cause is not a lack of baking soda in the system. The root cause is something else. So if they're not looking for the root cause of something else, then they're going to stay on it until it turns on them, as they say. So, okay. Mr. Guy says, Doc has finally made it make sense why multivitamins don't work. Half the shit in multivitamins is bad for you. Half of it is bad for you. As he says, Mr. Guy says again, people in the vitamin and supplement community just shrug and say, I don't know. It's because of the doses, or the dose makes the poison, or whatever. Let me explain something to you. And Mr. Guy, you may have seen this on another one of my videos. So here's the thing about multivitamins. First of all, they're called multivitamins. They're not called multi-minerals because minerals are big. You know, like when you're doing your topical magnesium and you look at how much magnesium you're putting on, it's a lot. And when you think of, if for those of you who supplement potassium, like it's a lot of powder. So if, this is the key thing, you're doing a shotgun approach. So shotgun, big target you're going to hit. You're hoping you hit your target without shooting other things that you don't want to. But when you shoot a big spread of bullets, you're probably going to hit things that you didn't want to and cause damage that you didn't want to. Here's how that works. A multivitamin, if there's stuff in it that is bad for you or that you do not need extra of, it's going to make you worse. That's just math, right? If you're already toxic in something in it, let's say you're already manganese toxic, or you're copper toxic, or you're vitamin A toxic, or you're vitamin D. Well, I mean, it's just rat poison, vitamin D supplements. So you're just taking rat poison. But let's say you're taking these toxic things. They're all bad for you. So that's going to cause a problem. Okay. Now, a multivitamin doesn't have enough. I'm going to tell you, it doesn't have enough of anything in it to really fix a deficiency that you might have. Like of the stuff that we actually work on, it doesn't have enough to fix a deficiency. So you're not fixing a deficiency, but you're potentially guaranteeing more toxicity. That's what shotgun approaches can get you. That's that. Never touch multivitamins ever again. I make a multi-mineral, if you want to call it that, in the form of Keystone Minerals, which has the most kind of like basic foundational doses of zinc and selenium and molybdenum. There's a little bit of magnesium in it, magnesium malate is as a filler because I needed to fill the capsule. So that's something that I made. And is it suitable for everybody? No supplement is suitable for everybody, but this is what the basic combo that I made. So, okay. Christina says, good morning. Hi, Dr. Smith. Bearing in mind your views overall on bioidentical hormone replacement, my understanding of some topical replacement for postmenopausal women shows positive and protective results for them. Okay. Would they be better off if they fixed what was causing their problems? Yes. I mean, would we argue that? Can something be better than nothing, but still worse than something else? Sure. I'm not here trying to. I'm here after the highest good of people. If somebody said, Doc, I want to take TRT. Guys want to take TRT, or women are like, I want to take bioidentical hormone replacement. And they said, I don't want to do the work that you do. I don't want to fix my diet. I don't want to take the supplements that I need. I don't want to do the testing. I don't want to. I don't want to do it. Okay, cool. Go do what you want to do. And when that ends, and it won't end the way you want, I'll still be here doing it. You could come and see if I, can still take new clients. People can it be better than nothing? Sure. But the fact that they have hormone problems in the first place means their liver is not working well, and they're going to add more hormones to their system to a liver that's not working well. I'm not a cult leader. People can do whatever they want. My work is not for everyone. But do I need to argue about whether some people can? I mean, you never know. I mean, when you're doing research, they're looking at these big things and they're saying, well, this group of people seem to do better than this group of people. But always remember, in the medical research, when they're looking at selling a product, they're going to try to, they want to have research that shows that the product is helpful. Nobody checks up on scientists to see if they're being honest. For all we know, scientists can just put numbers in a computer and say that's their results. Like, I get such a kick out of all these, like, my mom watches a lot. I joke that she likes to watch British murder mysteries, like even modern ones. She just watches British murder mysteries like all day long. And all this forensics and stuff. And I'm like, the cops don't do any of it. They don't do that. They don't freaking get all deep into this solving the case. And it's such a fantasy world. But they have to make it look like they're doing something, right? But there's not forensic scientists going and checking up on scientists to make sure that they're doing anything that they said they did. I mean, just imagine with AI and what they can create now, the BS that science can become. Like, they can just make up cell images. They could be like, well, it needs to look like this. Whenever they're selling something that's don't get me wrong, the bioidentical hormone industry is not some little teeny industry. And the compounding pharmacies that make it is not a little teeny industry. I mean, it's probably big pharmaceutical houses that are making the bioidentical hormone raw materials. It's not like a little mom and pop shop. It's like pharmaceutical subsidiaries in India and China. Actually, I heard that Ireland actually makes most of the hormones that come to the US. Was what I believe I read. I was like, Ireland? Okay, interesting. But it's all pharma. So they're gonna they lie. They lie to sell products. Okay, Butch843 says, last week someone asked about fermented foods like kimchi, kefir, etc. I tend to get a headache sometime after drinking kefir. Here's the philosophical advice. Doc, it hurts when I do this. Then don't do that. But I talk about this in Ray Pete mentioned the same reaction from kefir from lactic acid. Okay. It's basically, if you feed, could it be lactic acid? Sure. Lactobacillus makes lactic acid. That's why it's lacto. That's why they call it. That's part of the reason they call it that, right? Lactic acid bacteria. Is it the lactic acid that's causing that reaction? I don't know. And Ray Peat doesn't know either. What you know is that you just put in fermented foods tend to be a lot of these lactic acid bacteria, which is generally a lot of lactobacillus. As I get into in my probiotics articles inside the Love Your Liver network, certain dysbiosis types don't do well with lactobacillus. I'm a putrefactive type, and I've never done well with fermented foods of any type. It took a long time before, because everybody out there is like, fermented foods, they're so wonderful. And then you have people who are like, I tried, more than just me. It's not just me out there. People say, I tried these over and over and over, and I feel bloated and I feel gross, or I get headaches or whatever. They're not good for everybody. It's a very simple thing. Like when we actually allow ourselves to think about it, we could go, oh, my gut dysbiosis, my pattern is not such that adding this family of bacteria, it doesn't do good things for me. So don't do it, regardless of what the internet says. So as a general rule, not as a general trend, if you will, men don't tend to do as well on lactobacillus as women do, because it's just kind of the natural tendency of the gut. It doesn't mean that you couldn't have a man who does really well on lactobacillus. That's why it's a trend. But yeah, so I don't do any cultured foods. My gut's great. I finally admitted that I didn't do well in them. I used to drink a quart of kefir at lunch some days back in the day, like just the store-bought kefir, and I'd feel awful for like 6 to 8 hours after that. I feel like I had a rock in my stomach. Until finally I just went, oh, this isn't good for me. So then if you don't feel good from fermented foods, but if you don't feel good with cultured foods or fermented foods, simply don't eat them. But like I said, with probiotics, if you're trying to change your gut biome, like a headache would be a significant negative symptom. That would be something I'd say that's not probably going to go away. But if you just got a little bloaty, but you noticed other improvements, see, the thing is with the probiotics, or prebiotics or probiotics, you got to see some improvement first. You got to see something that gives you a reason to keep taking it. If you have some other little symptoms with it, that's the rearranging of the gut biome. But there has to be some benefit to decide to go on. And then what happens over time is the negatives fade away. That's what happens if it's the right thing for you. And then the positives either stay or even increase. So Christina asked another question. So besides these still have to be broken down by the liver, is there possibly more benefit than negatives to this group? 20 plus years of studies seem to demonstrate a number of benefits. I don't care to evaluate the hormone positives and negatives. This is not something I'm going to spend time on. If you want to do it, go ahead. Nobody's stopping you. I'm not going to go and start proselytizing to women about getting on bioidentical hormones. And the women who I have who have gotten off the hormones, who feel better naturally, and they don't have to pay for these hormones every month because their body's now working correctly, those are the people I want to deal with. Those are the people who appreciate what I do. I'm not here to do a cost-benefit analysis of this because the only cost-benefit analysis that matters to people, the only one that I care about a cost-benefit analysis for is me. My personal situation. That's what other people should care about. They shouldn't care about 20 plus years of studies show benefits, and 20 plus years of studies probably. Do you remember Premarin? Pregnant mare urine, where they were giving women horse estrogens? And then finally, like 20 or 30 years later, they were like, oops, it's causing cancer. And then you learn that horses have 7 different types of estrogens and humans only have 3, and not a single one of the horse estrogens matches a human estrogen. And then they're like, oops, it caused problems. I mean, what is modern medicine is not taking women who took hormones and comparing them to my patients, right? So that's not a comparison that's happening. So how am I supposed to compare the two? I'm not going to. People who want the easy way out of rubbing some hormone cream on yourself or taking a pill is not fixing anything. Might they have better outcomes than if they didn't do it? Maybe. Okay, could they have even better outcomes if they actually fix the toxicities and deficiencies? Sure. I mean, doesn't that make sense? If somebody has a hormone deficiency because they don't have enough zinc, and we correct the zinc deficiency and their hormone production gets better, and they get all the other 200, 300, 400, however many pathways that zinc impacts in the body, they keep raising the number because that's how important zinc is. But if you just do the hormones, the zinc deficiency never gets addressed, which then affects all those other 200, 300, 400 pathways in the body. So that's that. Oh, Ben, thank you for the super chat. Ben said, thank you for the very informative answer. Cool. Now, Fabuladium gave a super chat. Views on zinc picolinate being so tightly bound to the picolinic acid that it's poorly utilized. Also that it causes issues with serotonin levels. Thank you. I have not seen any of... Okay. In my experience, let me think of all the zincs I've tried in practice. So I've been doing the hair testing and the blood testing for a good long while now. Before I did the, before I learned about this, I learned about zinc picolinate being my preferred form of zinc before I started doing a lot of the blood testing for zinc. I tried zinc orotate with people. I tried zinc glycinate with people. I tried zinc monomethionine with people. I tried zinc sulfate with people. Are there any more that I'm forgetting about? I don't think I ever really tried zinc citrate. Did I say zinc orotate? I've tried most of the zincs. What I can tell you is that the only zinc I see consistently improve symptoms. Oh, and then there was always the zinc. What's the zinc for the stomach? What's the zinc for the stomach? Pepsin, GI. Carnitine, zinc carnitine. Tried that too. They did not help with zinc deficiency symptoms very much at all. And I've had people who have told me that I've tried all these sorts of zincs. I've been taking 50 milligrams of zinc. What's the new one? Or not new one, but the popular one, zinc gluconate. I've been taking 50 milligrams of zinc gluconate forever. And I say, do you feel anything from it? And they go, no. And I say, here, let's try some picolinate. And they try it, and all of a sudden, they feel something. They may feel a lot of something on a low dose because the zincs they were using before didn't work. I use zinc picolinate because I see it work. I see it raise the levels on tests, in the blood tests and the hair tests, and I see it relieve symptoms. That's what I see. Where's that? Let me see that question again. I want to make sure I hit everything on it. There it is. So the being so tightly bound to the picolinic acid that it's poorly utilized, is that some Chris Masterjohn nonsense that he brought up? Let me fix my camera just a little bit. No, I mean, we see zinc picolinate fix things. So some people can hardly take any of it at all, probably because the zinc getting into their system. The zinc is getting into their system. And then it causes issues with serotonin levels. If I don't see that research, I can't say anything about it. And if it's cellular research, I don't care. Like, I need in vivo. They usually don't do serotonin studies a lot in vivo, in whole animals. And if it's Ray Peat nonsense, I really don't care. So that's what I got. Tommy Gallant, thank you for that super chat. If there's a question, let me see if I can. Oh, there it is. Here it is. I'll read this question. I can't drink any water. Even 4 to 8 ounces of filtered water causes teeth pain, histamine, face flush, body pain, light sensitivity, kidney issue. My pee, is it a kidney issue? My pee stays basically crystal clear even if I have 8 ounces of water. Then you got something going on. I can't say what, I don't run into this very often, but yeah, it sounds like your water should only be coming in from like food sources. But yeah, this is something I'd have to get a much more detailed history of what came about, what the health issues are, what you react positively to, what you react negatively to, how you figured out how to work around this, because that would give me clues as to what's going on. Yeah, this is not something I come across much, but this would likely get better. Could it be a kidney issue? Sure. Could it be some sort of mineral deficiency that you're aggravating with really filtered water? Sure. But that just seems, I don't know. I wish I had a better answer for you. The light sensitivity and the body pain is, I mean, that sounds like a bile dump of some sort, because you get the teeth sensitivity can be bile. So those of you who GERD, if you haven't figured it out yet, GERD is not acid coming back up into your mouth. It's actually bile and whatever the stomach contents are coming back up into your mouth. And bile will eat away at your teeth, so that can cause teeth sensitivity. If you have a bunch of bile in your blood, it can also come into your mouth through your saliva. Bile is in saliva, so is vitamin A. Histamine, face flush, this is a bile dump thing. Yeah. Body pain, absolutely. So you can just see if it's a bile dump, but it's going into the blood and back up the intestinal system into the stomach and possibly up into your mouth, or it gets there via the blood to your saliva. This can all be connected to the same thing. So you may be having some strange bile dump trigger from filtered water. But then the solution to that would be fixing the toxicities, and then making sure you're getting the minerals right to help with that. But that's the best answer I got. So thank you for the super chat. And Ben, thanks for the super chat. So, okay. Tommy added, and this basically got way worse after high dose isolated zinc before you found the program. People, yes. And this, I just maybe, well, somebody who I know in the program, who I know is here on the chat today, there was a guy on Twitter I knew who's a chiropractor who effed around and found out about high dose zinc. There's another guy in the chat right now who has been effing around and is now finding out about high dose zinc. Tommy, you're saying it got way worse after high dose isolated zinc before you found this program. People, I care about you. Do not F around with high dose zinc if you are not testing. If you are not this is why, like, just so you know, generally, even with my clients who are testing, unless I'm doing very specific stuff with a very specific person and they are coming to my office hours to get follow-ups with me on a regular basis about their high dose zinc, if they're not checking in, I don't want them doing high dose zinc. Because what's going to happen is if you high dose zinc, at some point, you're going to get to zinc toxicity. If you're at 100 milligrams of zinc or above, you're going to get to zinc toxicity symptoms at some point. And what I want people to do is, if they're high dosing zinc, or if they're doing zinc at all, if they start getting problems, they drop their dose. They stop it. Don't push through anything. That concept is a bunch of garbage. Don't push through. It's not going to help. Let me tell you the story of a guy I worked with before I knew about all this. This gentleman is in the fitness industry. He could be considered an influencer. And this was years ago I was working with him. This was right at the start of the vitamin A detox stuff. And he regularly took 150 milligrams of zinc a day to try to boost his testosterone and to boost his libido and to boost his sexual function. Apparently it helped him in that way. 150 milligrams of zinc a day. This is not going to end well. Then he started getting symptoms from that. And he would feel bad. And then he started figuring out, he was like, oh, I think he may have tested. He said, oh, I have a copper deficiency now, which I don't believe was the problem. So then he'd take some copper to feel better for a week, maybe 2 weeks. And then he'd feel bad from the copper. Shocker. And then he'd take zinc again, high dose zinc for a while until he got the symptoms again. And then he'd have to stop the zinc. And then he'd take some copper again. And then he'd feel bad from the copper. And then he'd take zinc again. I know this guy was super vitamin A toxic. He's probably super copper toxic. He did make himself zinc toxic. I had a guy once, you know what you want to hear? If you're going to F around with high dose supplements, you're going to find out. Okay? We're trying to use supplements to restore nutrient levels, to restore them. You are not taking macro doses, like big ass doses of supplements to become superhuman. That's not what we're trying to do. If you want to run your engine in the red, the engine's going to burn out sooner. So don't mega dose. If you try to make this, so many people have come through trying to make this whole process go faster. They think they're going to be the person to make this whole process go faster. No, you're not. You're going to crash and burn like all the other people who thought they could make this go faster. I'm trying to help everybody here with this. Okay, don't mega dose zinc. Like I limit most people, I forgot to say this earlier, with even with testing. I only have people, when they are working with me, usually go up to 60 milligrams if they're testing. And I have them go up to it slowly, like over a month. Do you see how respectful I am of zinc and what it can do? I'm the guy here talking about zinc is so great, and I'm the one who's taking it slowly because I see what it can do to people when they F around and then they find out. Zinc toxicity is a legit thing, and it can cause you to dump too much toxicity out of your liver, and it can cause you problems. And like I said, that one guy who got stuck in that zinc toxicity copper loop, I don't know if he ever got out of it. He really didn't like when I brought up the vitamin A toxicity to him, so that's about when I stopped seeing him. He was making entire like pans full of like peppers and tomatoes, and like I was like, oh gosh, there's just inflammation in a bowl. But yeah, so but there was a chiropractor who did 150 milligrams of zinc. He found out. Other people have been messing around with that much zinc. They found out. Don't. You have plenty of time to fix this. You know what happens? Like in a running race, if you start too fast out of the gate, you burn out early. Don't do that. Don't rush out of the gate. It's better to start a little slower and then finish strong than to burn it all out of the gate and then, what's the term? Fizzle out. Okay. Mr. Guy says, let's have a super match. He's talking about arm wrestling. I mean, I'll Sure, why not? I'm not anything special. I'm just doing it for fun. Like I would honestly, I'd be doing jujitsu right now if I didn't have this meniscal thing in my left knee that I am trying to fix. I can't put sideways pressure on my shin. So jujitsu on the ground is just out. So I'm trying to find something that is more, it's competitive, and it's a physical outlet where I am testing my strength against other men. That's what the arm wrestling is. If I could do jujitsu, I'd be doing jujitsu. But Nate says, I know Devin Lorette, not personally, but I've watched him arm wrestle Michael Todd. Yeah. Mr. Guy says, I have at least 20 lipomas. I got them when I was in puberty time frame, and they haven't gone away. We've seen, cysts and lipomas go away. So you may want to look at your diet and definitely work on obviously hopefully if you're here, you're working on your vitamin A sources, but I would also just work on any excessive fat sources. Bring those down. So that obviously added fats, folks. Added fats are not natural for us to be eating. Right? Did I say anything about the fat that's in foods? I didn't say anything about the fats that was in foods. I'm saying added fats. Notice I didn't say low fat. I just said added fats. If people got rid of added fats, the PUFA problem would have never existed. You understand what I'm saying? The whole PUFA problem, the reason there's a PUFA problem is because people add PUFAs to their food. Polyunsaturated fatty acids, if you don't know what those are, folks. Those are not good for you. Seed oils and shit like that. Don't add them. But every fat that you add, every fat that's not horribly processed down to like MCTs kind of thing, has, just like all fibers in foods, has some soluble fiber and some insoluble fiber. All fats in foods, whole foods, or extracted fats have polyunsaturated fatty acids in them, monounsaturated fatty acids in them, and saturated fatty acids in them. They all have some amount. So usually when you hear people talk about PUFAs, the way people will kind of organize these is by the highest fatty acid group in a fat. So like olive oil has the most. MUFAs, monounsaturated fatty acids, are the most of all those fatty acids. The other two are less. So MUFAs are the highest in olive oil, and the others are less. PUFAs have the most polyunsaturated of all the fatty acids, and the other ones are less. But they all have some of all of them. But if you don't add fats, you don't have a PUFA problem. You'd really have to eat stupid amounts of certain foods to get a PUFA problem from whole foods. Okay. But I would just look at extra fats. That'd be the first thing. Kat says, what do I think about iodine drops? Is it wise to use iodine drops to get enough iodine when the salt one uses does not contain iodine? I would absolutely go, and let me find my I really do not like the new Twitter logo, that X. It's just awful. Let me put this link in here. I haven't been putting the links in the chat. Sorry about that, folks. Did I put here? Let me put the gadolinium in there. And the How Doctors Die. I don't know if I put that one either. I think, Joe, you did that, right? Although I'm not looking at the chat very well. So here's the arsenic and rice, or arsenic and activated charcoal. So if you can see this, potassium iodide is absolutely anti-thyroid. Gosh, why would governments give it to us for free when why are some governments around the world giving this away to people for free? Do you think they want to protect you? You think if there was a nuclear accident that they really want everybody sticking around? You don't think they all work together? They're going to give you potassium iodide, which is known to block normal thyroid function. Potassium iodide blocks radioactive compounds from binding your thyroid, but it also blocks iodine, normal iodine, from binding your thyroid. So this is what is in most iodine drops. I would never use this. Never, ever. Okay, if you want to talk about, like somebody was talking about the picolinic acid being bound too tightly to zinc, I don't know how zinc would work and how, when I use it in people, how it would work if it was too tightly bound. But potassium iodide is known to be extremely tightly bound, and it doesn't dissociate and split into potassium and iodine. It stays potassium iodide. The theory is that it sticks in the thyroid as potassium iodide. So it's like a key that goes in the lock, but it's not the right key. And so then it doesn't turn the lock. Right? You can put a lot of keys into the slot on a lock. You can put a lot of keys in there, but a lot of them don't open the lock. Only the right key opens the lock. Well, potassium iodide is not the right key. And that's why it suppresses thyroid function. So you put that key in the lock and it gets stuck there. This is the whole idea of how it would protect your thyroid during a nuclear incident, is it sticks in your thyroid so other things can't bind there. It sticks there. It's not turning. Think of it as like you put the key in there and you broke the key off. And now nobody can use the lock for a while. I'm not going to get into, I'm eventually going to be making an iodine article for the Love Your Liver program for those who want to try it. I do not think humans need very much iodine at all. I think we're extremely good at recycling it. And I think that if somebody does need iodine and they use the right type, which I'm not going to talk about here, I'm not going to talk about iodine to the general public, because honestly, general public, I don't trust you with information. People are out there ruining their thyroids with Lugol's. They're out there ruining their thyroids. Doing these urine tests. You want to know what I did? Those urine tests for iodine, and I talked to the doctor who does the free consultations about it. And it didn't matter whether so you get, this is the thing about the test, right? If the results of the test aren't going to change what you do, don't run the test. The test is not giving you information that you are basing decisions on. Like if you're going to say, no matter what this test is, I'm going to do the same thing as a practitioner. What I was taught in school is don't run the test. You're going to do it anyway. Why spend the money and why get information that's probably just going to make your patient or your client more anxious? But this iodine test, you'd go and you'd talk to the doctor who was supposedly an expert in iodine metabolism. And no matter if they came up as good in iodine or low in iodine, he said, give them Lugol's, basically, or iodoral. Same stuff. No matter if they showed up good or if they didn't show up good, you were going to give it to them anyway. And that's where I started going, this is a racket. This is not useful. And then people would all take all this iodine and they never got any better. And they'll say, oh, they need B2. Oh, they need B3. Oh, BS is what I said. So. But iodine, if someone needs iodine and they take the RDA of iodine from whatever source, if it's a good source of iodine, they will notice significant changes from the RDA of iodine. You do not need milligrams of iodine, which is like what's in iodoral and Lugol's and stuff like that. You do not need milligrams. 150 micrograms a day. If you need iodine, it will absolutely change how you feel. And if it doesn't, you probably don't have an iodine deficiency. Like if there was a lot of iodine deficiency, I mean, the symptom of iodine, the big symptom that people will have if they have iodine deficiency is goiter. Why aren't people running around everywhere with goiters these days? Why aren't all my people getting goiters? Why? Shouldn't all my people be getting goiters? If we hardly eat any iodine? Because I mean, the biggest iodine source, like seaweeds, are absolutely one of the highest vitamin A sources out there. We're not going to do those. Seaweeds also tend to soak up a lot of the toxic metals in the ocean, just so you know. So you can, buy a filter or be a filter. You can eat the filter things for nature too. So seaweed and dairy. And they supplement the cow's feed with iodine. That's how the dairy has iodine in it. And then the cows put a lot of it into their milk. Are they detoxing that? Who knows? But it's just, I don't think the iodine deficiency thing, I think most of the people selling iodine deficiency on the internet are a bunch of loons. So let me see. Hold on. I did see a study on zinc chloride topically. I don't know. So, okay. So I see your super chat room. God dang, there's a lot of chats. Oh my gosh. Wow, guys. Thank you for all the chats. Let me see. Yeah, so Mr. Guy mentioned the lipomas earlier. He said mine's probably from all the milk I drank when I was a kid. Drinking milk and getting this is a quick story of mine about drinking milk. I would drink a glass of milk. And of course, we thought we were all healthy back then, right? We get to skim milk. Drink milk, and halfway through the glass of milk, I would start to notice that I was getting phlegmy and mucousy. Like halfway that I started going, this is not okay. So hold on. Somebody's sending me a lot of messages. I need to make sure that there's not. Okay, there it is. Got it. Okay. Yeah, milk is full of nasty stuff. So Mr. Guy said, I actually thought the other day that some of mine had shrunk since I started detoxing. See, this is what we do. We see cysts. We see this. Growths in the body are toxicity depots, dumpster areas, holding sites. So if we get rid of the toxicity, your body will get rid of the toxicity, and then it will not need to have the extra storage anymore. It'd be just like if you rented a storage unit and you figure out how to get rid of all the extra stuff so you don't have to pay for the storage unit anymore, and then the storage unit goes away. This is what happens with toxicity deposits in the body. This is why with modern, since we were talking about cancer earlier, this is why with modern cancer treatments, the cancer, each time it comes back, it's more because they've made the toxicity worse. This is the weirdest thing. You can see if the cancers go down or even seem to disappear, if they use toxic methods to do that, there's more toxicity in the system than there was before. And that's why it comes back. Because chemo and radiation just shut down the bile from the liver. And then when the liver starts making bile again, the bile is now, it was already toxic, and now it's more toxic with the chemo or the radiation or whatever. Okay. Emily asks, can I talk about SI joint inflammation? I've had it since I was like 12. Well, we're going to do a simple search here. We're going to go right to PubMed. We're going to sacroiliitis, isotretinoin. I'll put the search in there. Now, this is not necessarily like, can there be a lot of causes of SI joint problems? Sure, there can be a lot of causes of SI joint problems. Funny thing is, two of the guys, one of these guys is the chiropractor I talked about earlier, and there's another gentleman who's a big fan. He's in the inner circle. They had really bad SI joint problems, and they did the vitamin A detox and the Love Your Liver program, and their SI joint issues. I think the chiro says his only comes back if he eats the wrong foods, and the other gentleman was practically practically disabled because of his SI joint problems. And now that's getting better. He's doing stuff like walking. I mean, this gentleman was not even walking much before. When his SI joint pain would get really bad, he had to like support himself. The only way he could get any kind of pain relief, which he was still in a lot of pain, but he had to support himself on a countertop. He had to put his hands on the counter and support the weight. So he did not have so much weight going through the SI joint. It sounded terrible. But now he's doing stuff like challenging a neighbor's kid to like a race or something. So SI joint pain. So just look through here. Let me make this a little bigger. Oh wait, I'm on the wrong. Here we go. So remember, isotretinoin is Accutane. Okay. Accutane is 13-cis-retinoic acid. 13-cis-retinoic acid is one of the 3 main retinoic acids your body makes whenever you consume vitamin A. So, and we have the research showing that synthetic vitamin A's and natural forms of vitamin A in your body are exactly the same toxicity. So if we just go through here, this is sacroileitis and isotretinoin is the search. Isotretinoin-induced sacroileitis, isotretinoin-induced sacroileitis, isotretinoin-induced inflammatory back pain and sacroileitis, isotretinoin-induced sacroileitis, bilateral sacroileitis confirmed with MRI during isotretinoin treatment, analysis of musculoskeletal side effects of oral isotretinoin treatment. Low back pain is one of the very common complications of isotretinoin. Sacroileitis secondary to isotretinoin. The prevalence of sacroileitis in patients with acne vulgaris using isotretinoin. Oral isotretinoin and sacroileitis, causal link or coincidence? What a joke. What a joke these poison pushers are. I mean, we can keep going. Vitamin A causes back pain and sacroileitis. One of the things you could do in the early phases or all the way along is you can put topical magnesium on the area. That will help. So one of the things that vitamin A toxicity causes is it causes calcification. It causes excess calcium in the blood, hypercalcemia. And then your body deposits that calcium into places like soft tissues. And it doesn't feel good because they're like sharp crystals. And they cause things to get stuck. Like when you think of pipes calcifying, or you think of your water faucet knobs calcifying, they move slow, right? They get stuck. This is what it does to your joints. So magnesium helps to dissolve calcium deposits. Oh, and the magnesium lotion is not out yet, but we're so close. But don't bother Julie with emails about it, please. I will let all of you know when it is out. So let's see. There's that sacroileitis. But yeah, so that's back pain, so magnesium. And then if you wanted to accelerate the removal of the toxicity from, let's say, your SI joint, is you could do activated charcoal, a topical application of it. You could do either a poultice or the charcoal and lotion that we talk about. If the charcoal and lotion stays on really well. So if you live somewhere where you're able to walk around without, let's say, pants on, you could do like a charcoal application with lotion down to your SI joint, and be careful of sitting on things. You don't want to deposit charcoal all over them, but you could do that, and that would probably feel pretty good. I've done charcoal and lotion on my knee when it was angry, and oh man, it really helps with the pain. So that would be something that you could do. And if we know it's a toxicity problem, then we can treat it like a toxicity problem. So let me see if there's any more super chats. Kat says, OMG, the sacroileitis after Accutane. I thought I wasn't going to make it. It's just terrible. Hold on. Let me just scroll through. Okay, so I'm going backwards through the chat. This is so hard to keep up with. Ben James asks, pro-liver consumption people often say indigenous tribes across the world place a lot of value in liver/organ consumption. What's your rebuttal? Am I supposed to argue against people who live in mud huts? Are we serious? This is tongue in cheek, but people who have not graduated from mud huts or straw houses, I'm supposed to take nutrition advice from these people, right? Who's going to probably live longer? I'm going to live longer. Who hasn't figured out how to build a dwelling other than a mud hut or a straw hut? Okay, I don't care what indigenous tribes do. Here's the reason why they like to go after the liver first. It's very simple. It's actually a survival thing. Imagine. You can think of a predatory animal, or you can think of, just first of all, just think about this. If you think of a predatory animal, like a lion kills a gazelle, okay? There's now the stench of a dead animal. Like, what I mean by that, scavengers are going to start coming, right? The vultures are going to start circling. The hyenas are going to come and start harassing everything. So that lion that just made that kill has to get as much out of that dead animal before everybody else starts coming and harassing it. Now, here's the easiest piece of meat. Whole chunk of meat. If you've ever, what am I thinking of the term when you prepare an animal? That word is not coming to me right now. Anyway, you kill a game animal, you kill a deer, and you're going to prep it, right? It's not easy. And that's even with like modern cutting tools. Imagine you're a lion with like claws and teeth, and that's all you can do. Those are your tools. Sure, they're designed by nature and they're good tools, but they're still not knives, like super sharp knives that we have. So the lion wants the biggest hunk of meat that's the easiest to get to the quickest. Okay? What is the easiest single hunk of meat to get out of a dead animal the quickest? It's the liver. You make a cut right under the rib cage. You open up the abdomen, which is not hard to open up. It's very thin to get in there, and you can basically rip the liver out. And then you have a huge chunk of meat. That doesn't mean that there's some ancient wisdom in eating it. It's survival. It's the same logic as when people will say, well, there's animals out there that eat their placenta. Okay, am I smarter than an animal? Yes. Why might the animal that just delivered the baby eat the placenta? Is it because it has some ancient wisdom? No, it's because if a predator comes around and sees a placenta left on the ground, it then says, ooh, there's fresh baby meat around that's very easy to catch. I should really start looking for that. Right? So these people are putting these like deep wisdom things on animals and indigenous people. They're not deep wisdom things. It's survival. We don't live in a survival world anymore, so we don't have to do these things. The placenta is a third liver. It's full of toxins. Don't eat it. The liver of animals is full of toxins. Don't eat it. That's what it does. I get so frustrated with all these influencers who are like, the liver doesn't store toxins, and it takes me 2 seconds to show that the liver accumulates. That's the word you look for on PubMed. Accumulate. The liver absolutely stores things. Why do you think you get fatty liver? Why would the liver be making more fat? Do you think it's because it's storing fat soluble toxins? Right? But it takes a little bit of explaining for people who think people who live in mud huts are like somehow nutritional experts. It's going to take a lot of explaining because they're. I don't know what to. I mean, that little bit of logic of like, if they still live in mud huts, why am I going to them for any advice? So, but those of you who know how to clean an animal, even with sharp knives, it's like, why does the lion probably not go after the muscle tissue so much? Because it's really hard to get at. Isn't that why we have butchers who prepare all the meat for us? Even those of you who, are like, I buy a whole cow, you still have the butcher prep all that meat for you because it's a pain in the butt to clean an animal. It's a pain in the butt. It's hard. It's a lot of work. Even most hunters, even those of you out there who hunt, you don't prep you don't probably take that deer home and prep it, like fully prep it to eat it, because that's a crazy amount of work. So why does the lion not sit there with its claws and its teeth and tear the animal to shreds? Because there's other animals that can do that better. It can just eat the guts and leave and go find another animal in a couple days or a week when it's hungry again. That's why. But that's what I got. Thank you for that super chat, Ben. Alex Jones is big on selling iodine. The two sides of the same coin, right? The left and right hand, the left and right wing. They'll get you either way. Oh, Will said, don't miss my chat. Let me go see if I can. Let me see. Well, let me see. Will was saying, don't dairy max. Dairy fats are high in toxins, be it AD, copper, iron, calcium. Dairy's just. I mean, animals and humans detox through. Wait, let's do this. Where is it? Where is it? Okay. This is a post I did on my old forum. People go, but breast milk has vitamin A. Why would it have vitamin A in it if it wasn't good for you? Okay. Your body's dumping vitamin A every single way it can. Here's an article. Does mother's milk transfer environmental toxins to breastfeeding babies? Yes. Yes, it does. When we nurse our babies, we feed them not only the fats, sugars, and proteins that fire their immune systems, metabolisms, cerebral synapses, she reports, we also feed them, albeit in minuscule amounts, paint thinners, dry cleaning fluids, wood preservatives, toilet deodorizers, cosmetic additives, gasoline byproducts, rocket fuel, termite poisons, fungicides, and flame retardants. Well, why would the body put those in breast milk if they weren't supposed to be there? Because we detox anything we're pushing out of our body, we're detoxing. Breast milk also contains dozens of compounds that have been linked to negative health effects, reports MOMS, which lists BPA, PBDEs, perchlorate, perfluorinated chemicals, PFCs, phthalates, polyvinyl chloride, and the heavy metals cadmium, lead, and mercury as leading offenders. Well, mercury is a natural metal. Why would the body put mercury into breast milk if the baby didn't need it? Oh, God. No. This is how we can say that this argument about breast milk, and then so I'm extending this to cow's milk. Do you think there's an area where cows are living where they're immune, where there's no toxins? No. So Emily says, butchering is such an important skill. I can't believe I used to save the livers when I did it. My ex-brother-in-law, he said the worst thing he did was he worked in a deli. Well, he worked in a Jewish deli. They would get livers in there, and his job when he got the livers to make the pate, he cut the tumors out of the livers. and then they would make the rest of the liver into pate to sell to customers. He said that's why he would never eat liver again. But yes, butchering is extremely important. Kat says, I need to go throw away my... Oh, it's the chat. Oh, the chat where you added me, left the testimonial on the network. Okay, let me go find... Oh, don't worry about switching the screen, Joe. Let me go find it. Thank you, Will, for clearing that up. So we'll add a testimonial. Oh wow, Will, this is great. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to read this. So this is a testimonial. Actually, you could show my screen. Okay, let me make this a little bigger. Okay, here we go. I think it's big enough to read. It has been a year and a couple months since joining the Love Your Liver program. Let me first start by saying how incredible Dr. Smith and the community have been on this platform. Will's very active on the network. It's great, and he's a moderator here too. So thanks to the systematization laid down by Dr. Smith, I have been able to hypothesize and find answers on my own. I now run a detox chat, and I'm working on creating a supplement business as well as taking notes for an eventual book on the matter of toxic bile theory. None of this would be possible without the Love Your Liver program. Finally, a system that not only works, but adequately falsifies the charlatans and accurately predicts phenomena. I've had people give me lots of comments on that. They said, Dr. Smith told me what I could expect, good or bad. And then that's what happened. And people really appreciated that to me because I didn't just blow smoke up their ass and say, oh, it's all going to be good. And then when people say, I didn't feel good on this, I'm like, what do you mean? No, I pay attention to when people tell me they don't feel good, and I tell them this could happen. If it happens, stop. Go back. So let's continue. My body is changing rapidly. It seems as though I am indeed gaining muscle mass, which would explain some of the weight number stagnation. My calves are ginormous. They weren't this big before. Muscle definition is greatly improved as well. My legs have real shape. It's a sort of rounded, edgeless shape, but a shape nonetheless. Making incredible progress in mental models too. Able to write music once more. Brain working better. Without essential oils or parent essential oils, amazing. The texture of the fat on my arms is getting rougher, and there are divots where there used to be fat. My skin is the loosest it's ever been and is soft. I can, for the first time, actually see every single muscle moving in my thigh when I articulate the leg. I can feel every tendon and muscle in my forearm, even in my upper arm. It's working, and I couldn't be happier about it. And the best part, it's not hard. Every other diet I've had success with has been extremely challenging to keep up. But this is child's play. I eat satisfying food as much as I need and even get some treats like white popcorn. My eyes have always been a deep hazel green, but now they look just barely green, more bluish. I was born with blue eyes. The yellow gunk on the surface of my iris is clearing. So, right, yellow plus blue make green. The eyes, everybody thinks vitamin A is so good for the eyes because the eyes have a lot of vitamin A in them. You can just store vitamin A there. So like Will's saying, if you see the blue color of the eye returning, it's the yellow leaving the green. Does that make sense? I mean, it's just color theory, right? It's just, you learn this in grade school, right? Yellow plus blue makes green, right? So anyway. I had always been an incredibly angry person. I find it simply amazing that not only is my anger basically gone, but I can handle much more social discord than prior and keep my wits about me without going into a blind rage. Happy liver, happy life. That's how it works, okay? Continuing, all this goes much further beyond just knowing about vitamin A toxicity. It's about all of health. It's about how copper and other metals interact with your body, how different metals are scavenged by different acids, how proteins aren't just about building muscle mass, but about mitigating toxicity via the various binding proteins for all the different toxins out there. And most of all, this system is about finding, disambiguating, and operationalizing the first principles of health as seen through a perspective of constant chronic detox, liver health, and the application of the knowledge of first causes to fix the original cause of illness and eventually heal. We are doing it. Things are getting much better. This is the way. I love that. I was more or less in a bottomless pit of doom when I started. Now I'm exploring the mountain of responsibility and prosperity. I can't thank you enough for what you started, Dr. Smith. Well, thank you very much, Will. I really appreciate that. I got goosebumps. This is what we're trying to do, folks. And to imagine that there's a Facebook group out there saying that they disagree with Grant Generou's work and they're trying to say my work is dangerous. Imagine how irresponsible that group is. Wow. They're just angry they didn't get to talk crap on my network and I kicked them off. Bye. Laura says, I think my cow is very happy I shoveled her 40-pound placenta into the wheelbarrow so she didn't have to eat it. Ugh. Field dressing it. Yeah, there's dress. Yes. Yes. So let's see. Are there any Joe, if you can help me, are there any super chats that I missed? I'm scrolling up. Let me scroll to the bottom again and go back up. I need this chat to be. I mean, you guys with all the chats is great. It's amazing. I'm just having trouble keeping track of. Tommy, I see your. Oh, there it is. Okay, so Tommy posted another super chat. Tommy Gallant, thanks for the other answer. Just wondering what sparked the removal of B2 and B3 and the addition of folate and B12 as potentially beneficial B vitamins. The niacin folks, like, okay, I'm going to put it this way. The people out there who are like worshiping niacin, like the Scientologists, just do niacin and sauna to detox. It's just that easy. Like, give me an effing break. And then do Scientology. No, that was a joke. I remember being in school. One of my cardiology professors said when people use niacin to lower their cholesterol, lowering your cholesterol, forcing your cholesterol lower with a vitamin, using B3 to lower your cholesterol. He said, the funny thing is, everybody thinks that niacin, because it's a vitamin, would be like the safest of the cholesterol lowering things, like safer than statins. And he's like, if you look at the side effects, niacin actually has the most side effects. And then you have the niacin people come in and they're like, but it's not the right type of niacin. And I'm like, give me a break. Nicotinate. B3 seems to cause liver problems. And I have never emphasized B3 on this program. The funny thing is, so here's a concept I want y'all to wrap your head around. People say, oh, you start taking one B vitamin. If you take it by itself, then all of a sudden you got to take another B vitamin because, wait, I just want you to follow this. You take one B vitamin and then you get some sort of, let's just call them side effects. People say, oh, it depletes another B vitamin. And then you need to take that B vitamin for the side effects of the first one. And then you need to add another B vitamin for the side effects of the second one. Does this sound at all like pharmaceuticals? Like, right, you start on one pharmaceutical, you get a side effect, you take second pharmaceutical for the side effect, then you get another side effect, and then you take another pharmaceutical for that side effect. Does this sound familiar? And then like you just take the whole B complex. We talk about B vitamins as so imagine if B vitamins were antidotes to some toxicity in the body. But antidotes are often somewhat toxic themselves. If you go look up the side effects on snake venom antidote, gigantic list of side effects. Gigantic. They're saving somebody's life with it, but there's a gigantic list of side effects. Weird that something's an antidote would have side effects. It's weird that when you really look into B12, every part of the B12 molecule, the classes of the amines and that stuff would be considered toxic by itself. There's an azole part, azole. There's an azole part of the B12 molecule. Azoles slow down ALDH. Cobalamin, cobalt is toxic. It's a toxic metal. There's other parts to it too that I elucidated. But B12 is known in the research to be a remedy for hydrogen sulfide poisoning. So it's an antidote. And if you go and you start looking up some poison control centers, antidotes to toxicity, you'll find some B vitamins there. But antidotes given when there's not toxicity cause problems. So people who are just taking B complexes, it's probably going to cause a problem at some point. So it is noon, but just folate. So I'm going to, you're asking about why the addition of folate and B12, B1 seems to, I haven't pulled up the research on this in a while. B12 or B1, There is research on it binding to aldehydes. That is how I think everybody feels so, everybody who's taking other types of B1 and all this stuff, and they're like, this is amazing. They didn't have a B1 deficiency. I mean, they sort of did, but they're totally aldehyde toxic. And when the B1 as an antidote binds to the aldehyde, it makes the whole thing somehow less toxic. And then when they stop taking their B1, if they don't fix what they're doing, well, I have to take my B1 or else I feel like garbage. And what do we talk about in this program? At some point, you're not going to need the extra B vitamins if you're doing the right thing. So we get people off of it because we're addressing the root toxicity, and other people are still poisoning themselves with aldehydes because they're like, I love my cinnamon, and they do other, the aldehyde, cinnamaldehyde, and I love my vanillin is an aldehyde. I love my brightly colored fruits and vegetables, retinaldehyde. I love my wine at night. Oh, acetaldehyde from ethanol, right? So they just keep putting in all these aldehydes, and they're like, but I have to take my B1 or I don't feel right. Well, that's because you're constantly poisoning yourself. And as we get those things out, eventually they don't need the antidote anymore. Hydrogen sulfide. You want to know a great way to make hydrogen sulfide? Eat more sulfur foods. Do we do that? No, we don't do that. Get your molybdenum help, because molybdenum helps your sulfur metabolism. So as people get their hydrogen sulfide, I've seen somebody who was advising to use Epsom salts in their bath, magnesium sulfate, and they were also advising to take B12. I know why those are connected. Because they're putting sulfur in their system. Don't think you just absorb the magnesium from the Epsom salts. You absorb the sulfate too. And then that can turn into hydrogen sulfide. And then you need the B12 as the antidote. As we reduce the toxicity, you don't need all the antidotes. Folate, I believe, is very involved in aldehyde dehydrogenase, ALDH. I think folate is probably critical for that. Vitamin A toxicity has been shown. I've got a video on this channel. Vitamin A toxicity depletes folate because it's an aldehyde, right? So if you're taking in a bunch of aldehydes and you deplete folate, which is critical for ALDH to function, so is selenium and so is molybdenum, then you have a problem. So if you take some folate, you can counter that. Do you need it forever? Well, not in theory if you fix the aldehyde issues and the ALDH slowing issues. And then B12 is just, some people, I think, with the hydrogen sulfide problem, it's going to be around for a while. B12 may also be an antidote for something else that we haven't figured out yet. It is an antidote for cyanide toxicity too, if you didn't know. So, yeah. I've told my story here about how I used B12 as an antidote for sulfur poisoning that I gave myself with MSM, the magical molecule methylsulfonylmethane. I poisoned myself with that garbage. I'm never touching that garbage again. So here we go. Ramon, does cooking alliums remove the sulfur? No. I mean, some of it might, the smell in the air. Okay, sure. Some of the smell in the air. Okay. Wondering if after cooking them and infusing the flavor into food and discarding them is okay from a toxic perspective. No. I mean, the taste of them is from sulfur. Let me just go see. Allium sulfur flavor. Let me see if I can get anything on this quick. Here we go. You can go to this screen. Joe. Wait. There it is. Here we go, Ramon. Here's why. Both the flavor and medicinal properties of allium plants are attributed to a wide variety of sulfur-containing compounds that are generated from S-alkylcysteine sulfoxides. So, infusing the flavor would be infusing the sulfur compounds. You're putting the sulfur compounds into the food. So, no. Scientifically, what you're getting out of the alliums is sulfur. So I would not make that a regular thing. What I've seen with people who do the program well for a while is over time you lose the desire for these strong flavors. Doesn't mean you're never going to eat them again. You just lose, like, oh my gosh, the amount of garlic I used to eat, the garlic press. And people would be like, oh, you put 2 cloves in. And I'd be like, well, I got a whole head of garlic here. Why don't I just use like half the head? I used to use tons of herbs and spices and seasonings and flavors and all that stuff. And as you get cleaner, you find that you don't want those anymore. I remember Julie telling me one day, after she'd been doing the program for long enough, her and her husband, they hadn't had bacon in a while. And then they made bacon and they tried it and they were like, this is disgusting. And they just threw it out. Pig bacon. She said, I couldn't even stomach it. Both of them. They used to eat bacon all the time. And then all of a sudden they were like, I can't even eat this. So if you're still having a lot of craving for sulfur foods, Ramon, you may want to see if you can clean up other areas of your intake. Because remember, poison begets poison. The more poisons you take in, the more poisons you want. And I'm just going to say this because we've talked about this in the chat. I'm not bringing up anything Ramon didn't talk about, but Ramon was working on lowering his alcohol content, his alcohol intake. Well, alcohol tends, just think of, here's the thing about alcohol, right? You drink alcohol and then all of a sudden, what do you want? You want to eat totally garbage foods, right? It's the late night munchie kind of thing when you're just like, let's go to Jack in the Box or whatever garbage fast food place you like to go to in the middle of the night when you've been drinking or whatever you used to go to. And this is for just about everybody out there who's, let's say, I don't know, been to college, in the college days. You don't have to go to college to do this, but that's just where a lot of people will remember it. So, yeah, I know. And Tommy, back to your question, I don't see that B1. See, here's a funny thing. B1 and folate, I don't see those causing massive needs of other B vitamins. Whereas like B2 and B3, it's like if you start taking B2, then people are like, oh, I got symptoms. You got to take B3. Or you start taking B3 and then, oh, you got to take B2. Those two are together, and I used them for a while and I didn't see them doing that much. And I don't like the riboflavin is the yellow color that it is. Or that the body tries so hard to B2, that the body tries so hard to pee it out so fast and it comes out so yellow. I don't like that at all. So now B1 will make your pee smell. So that is something. So when you think of B complex, mostly it's the B2 turning your pee that nice, crazy yellowish color, and then it's the B1 that causes most of the smell. So, was there anything else, Joe? I didn't know if let me see. Oh, Ramon left the super chat. Okay. So he left the chat. Okay. So we got that. We'll see here. So Nate said our Great Pyrenees dog once brought a cow placenta into the house and ate it. Blah. This is why I don't take my eating cues from animals or people who live in indigenous method ways. They're doing things that they learned from people before them. They're doing things out of survival. They're doing things out of whatever. So, here's Emily says, honestly, salt is all I need now. I used to season everything so much. This is what we're talking about. People find that their sugar cravings, like people out there will do these sugar detoxes, right? No sugar for 30 days, and then you lose your taste for it or whatever, supposedly. But a lot of women go right back to it. Mostly women, but men will go back to sugar. I've never been a big sugar craver, but now like I look at sugar stuff and I go, why? Like the craving for the sweet taste doesn't really exist that much anymore. I never was a big sweet person, but other people on the network who they're like, especially some of the ladies they used to like sugar addicts, they say it's gone. They don't have it anymore. Here, let me take care of this. Oh, I got to go to my inner circle. Excuse me. Like I said, I'm going to talk about some of the detox stuff that I think is going on. There's some very specific stuff that how do I put this? That I've been installing, that I've been doing around my house, that I think is really opening up detox channels because it's calming down the stress in the system. What if I were to tell you that this weekend was kind of exciting? I learned about this one guy's approach to EMF and how he helps with certain, he calls it EMF remediation around people's environments. And he talks about voltage gated calcium channels as what is causing the subcellular chaos. So then I took that, and you know what I did? I went into the research and I started finding that, hey, did you know that iron and copper can travel through the voltage gated calcium channels? Wow. So if something was aggravating voltage gated calcium channels, EMF, electro copper, magnetic iron, calcium. Do we talk about calcium here? Yeah. I think we just tied it all together. So I'm not going to go into that research today. But yeah, I'm going to talk to the guy who owns this company because I think we have the two sides of the situation. We have, so I've told people about this. I have reduced my EMF sensitivity a lot with this work that we do. But I'm going to tell you folks that the EMF stuff is getting stronger. Like, think about it. Every Starlink satellite that's up there, every cell tower that they install, every new wireless thing you get in your house or your neighbor gets in their house, the EMF stuff is just going crazy, like through the roof. And so something has to be done to help us, because even if you do get most of the vitamin A, most of the copper, did I say I found vitamin A affects the voltage gated calcium channels too? Ooh, it got ugly real quick. I started on a research tear. I think it was Saturday morning. Man, we're going to tie this all together. So if we can make people less toxic in vitamin A, less toxic in copper, less iron overload, so then they're not as sensitive to the EMF from the get-go, and then we can remediate the EMF so it doesn't affect their body as much. If we remove the chaos from the system, and we're also removing the toxicity from the system, think of how fast things can heal. And that's what we're seeing in the few people who have done it. We've seen that it can actually speed up detox too fast if people jump in too deep, especially if people are really copper toxic. So we have to go slow. And as the person who I talked to who was really copper toxic said, she's like, I guess we have to go really slow on this. And she said, does that sound like anybody you know? And I was like, yep, I know somebody who talks about going slow so you don't mess yourself up. So we'll talk about that soon, very soon, actually. The article will likely come out in the Love Your Liver program first, but I will be talking about this here on the live stream because it's really, really important. Joe says he told a legislator about vitamin A. I got another guy I got to talk to who knows a senator who's been introducing people to these ideas. Like we're about ready to explode. We are really about ready to explode. Joe is saying, so Joe's the tech guy in the background helping with the streaming. We're going to figure, I'm probably going to go, hopefully the resolution is just a problem with my PC's not strong enough. So I'm going to go get a better, faster PC to run this. So hopefully that'll get rid of this. But yeah, Joe was saying Robin Vos, the Speaker of the Wisconsin Assembly, was serving eggs Sunday, August 6th at a Firehouse pancake breakfast. I told him the yellow yolk of the eggs was toxic with retinol. Well, don't forget that excess choline and fat that helps it store in there. Yeah. So Let's see. Let's just read a couple more. I'm just going backwards from the bottom up. Joe says close up a browser window that's taking up too much energy on your, or too much memory on your system. This is what I do, Joe. I open all these tabs and I'm not going to delete them because I got to save them for, I save all the tabs. So all of you know, all of the research that I do in all of these live streams and in my inner circle that I'm going to do after this, all of those tabs, I save them. I put them in a document, and then the amazing David Hagerston, who was on the chat today, I saw him there. He puts them into a spreadsheet. So we have our own research database. So we can, if people want to go and search it for keywords, they can go and search this research database. Right now, it's only available to my inner circle people. But yeah, so he's doing that great work. So all the studies that I pull up, those all go in there. So I can't close them because I got to save them. So anyway, here, who is this? This is Soil Food Web Warrior says, I used to eat copious amounts of garlic, onion, and herbs on everything. I can't believe that I don't miss them, but I absolutely couldn't care less. I grew a ton of garlic, herbs, onion, and now he's not interested. One more thing I'm just going to add from Will, who the testimonial was from. Will says, I'll walk by a chocolate cake and have a sensation of nut husk flavor in my mouth without smelling it. Body really doesn't want it. If I'm just going to throw this out there, and Will has been working a lot on copper toxicity in himself. Chocolate is full of copper. If you're addicted to chocolate, you're addicted to copper toxicity. You should know this. They are poisoning you with copper in chocolate. I don't care about the magnesium, and the polyphenols are toxic. So one of the early things you could do for your health would be to get off the chocolate, or to wean off the chocolate. So I think we're all done. Joe, let me just make sure. Gosh. If anybody thinks I missed a super chat, can you put it down at the bottom? I'm scrolling up through here trying to find out. I just want to make sure I don't miss any. So, oh, somebody just said their tinnitus came from. Kat says my tinnitus and hyperacusis came from Accutane. Surprise, surprise. Okay, so then if this is a go back to your question. If a toxicity caused this, what we talked about, then do I think it can be reversed? Yes, I think toxicity and nutrient deficiency, tinnitus, and ear hearing stuff can be reversed. And Christina said, thank you for my answer to your question. Always appreciate your perspective. Thank you, Christina. I'm glad. I want to, okay, let me put it this way. No other super chats. Let me just say this about hormones real quick. And this is not to brag. I used to do testosterone replacement. I did testosterone replacement therapy in my practice, my brick and mortar practice, for a while. I never really got into the female hormones because, ladies, your hormones go all over the place and it's really difficult. So when people are when women, I don't know. I didn't want to get into the hormones for women, but this is the kind of stuff I do. This is like how I got here. How I got here was I kind of looked in the underground parts of the internet, like for health stuff, like the contrarian stuff, like Matt Stone and 180 Degree Health. And I remember the RBTI experiment. Don't ever do RBTI. It's a disaster. It's like a bomb waiting to just explode in your face. No RBTI. Don't. They'll give you 4 or 6 different calciums and then suppress symptoms, and then wonder why when people get off that program, they get worse than they ever were when they started it. They don't tell you that at start, but that's what happens to everybody who does RBTI, including myself. So anyway, where was I going with that? I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. I was going into the things. So about TRT. So I was getting into TRT, and so what I did when I was in. Now I have never. This is the God honest truth. I did TRT for about 6 months. I have never done what people would call, I mean, is TRT technically steroids? It's testosterone. So yes, technically, yes. Have I ever done what people would call steroid doses, like the influencers? No, I never did that. I did TRT for 6 months. I actually learned a lot about hormone therapy from, I would go to the bodybuilding forums and the steroid forums to see like it, because if you can see the extremes, you can learn about what happens in the middle, right? So I went and learned about TRT and I did a little bit of it to myself. I actually, I'm a hyper responder to that. Like I could be a bodybuilder if I wanted. Like TRT, I didn't even take the normal dose is usually 200 milligrams a week. I was on like 150 and I was responding like crazy. But I also, it affected my liver. Like Will was talking about how his anger's gone. As they say with steroids, right? Or TRT, if you're, the saying is if you're an asshole when you start, if you were an asshole before steroids, you're going to be a bigger asshole on steroids, right? Both physically and you're going to be a bigger a-hole. So yeah, definitely back then my liver was not as happy as it is now. And I definitely got angrier. But when I gave a guy, it's so like as an example of how good I got at it, when I had a guy on TRT and he was my last guy and I said, I'm not doing this anymore. Because I decided not to do TRT anymore because it did not fit into my values. I said, I want to fix the cause. TRT is the exact opposite of the cause. It's just band-aiding a symptom. So I quit. I told my last guy, I said, look, I don't want to do this anymore. I got a referral from another doctor in town. You can go see him. And if you want to know how good I was at hormones, my patient at the time went to him and he said, he looked at his labs and he's like, I'm not going to change a single thing because your labs are perfect for the hormone replacement, the testosterone replacement that we were doing. So that's not bragging. That's just like, I tend to get good. I study the things that I do and I tend to get good at them. But TRT did not fit into it. So like, could I do hormone replacement? Yes. I don't choose to. And if ladies come to me or men come to me and they're on hormones, do I make them get off of them? No, I don't make them get off of them. But usually the people are like, yeah, I'd really love to stop. The guys are like, I'd love to stop rubbing this cream on my junk, or I'd love to stop having to shoot myself with needles. And same with the ladies. They're like, I don't really want to do this because I know there's always going to be side effects from hormones, right? Whether people admit them or not is a whole nother matter. Like the guys can't even touch the guys can't even hardly touch their wives with their, they got to wash their hands and they got to make sure that their body parts with the hormones don't touch their wives because it can easily transfer. Topically, these things go right in. So anyway, if somebody wants to do hormones, usually when people are coming to me, they want to get off of these things. And what do? We let them get better. So this is a little different approach of what I do. Like I wean people off. So what we try to do is underneath it all, we get them better. We are fixing the toxicities and the deficiencies. So we get them better underneath it all. And then as their body starts coming back online, working the way it's supposed to, and they don't feel like they need the hormones anymore or the medication or whatever they're on, then either I'm discussing with them as to how they might wean off and what to look for, or they might talk to their own doctor who put them on it about weaning off. And they make a plan. And if the plan is not working, you can always just go back on it. Right? That it doesn't have to be like you only go forward and you only get lower. If you take a step too far, you go back. So this is how I do things different. Like if you want to get off coffee, if you want to get off coffee and you're ready to do it, like wean off of it over like 3 or 4 weeks. Really wean slow. And then when you get off of it at the end, it's not that big a deal because you're down to like either half a cup of coffee a day or you're down to like green tea. You can even do the last step as a glass of green tea a day. So we have time to do this, folks. You have time. Make it nice and easy and smooth. Don't extreme approaches get extreme results for better or worse. So you don't have to like hurt yourself trying to go faster. Cannot tell you how many, especially men, come into the program and they just think they're going to be the Usain Bolt of detox. And I'm like, I've seen it before. It doesn't end well. Everybody thinks they're just going to get around it. Detox maxing. No, don't. It will happen. Okay, so that's, so I just want to see this. Christina says, my tinnitus always seems to relate directly to the use of my cell phone and being in rooms with strong Wi-Fi or too near to my body. We're going to be able to help that very soon, Christina. I'm just getting some, I'm getting some testimonials from my people together. And then, and then I'll bring out all the research on what this is doing. And so we'll then have the remediation stuff that can help you right away. And then we'll have the long-term stuff we're doing, which is reducing the electro, copper, magnetic, iron toxicity and the things that affect the voltage-gated calcium channels like vitamin A toxicity. So anyway, okay. Hope you all enjoyed that. Hope it was a nice start to your week. Remember, if you please like the video, make sure to like the video. If you were in the chat, that's great. Comment below the video after it's over or when you see it finally. That all helps us. Share this with your friends. We were at like 4,994 subscribers before this went on. So if you can share it and get some people subscribing, we can hit the 5K. That'd be awesome. But it's just another number. So hope you all have a great week. Bye now.